The last 4 years were dark, and now Donald Trump is the light. Let's bring in South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, who's campaigned all across the country with Donald Trump. Governor, good to see you. Thank you for being with us. So listen, I listened to the speech of Kamala Harris, and I found it fascinating. There was no reflection on the policy or the message that decimated her party last night. It's like, this is the message that's going to work. I don't care what the voters think, but God darn it, I'm going to keep right on going with it. What do you make of that strategy?
Yeah, I thought her speech was depressing. It continued to be divisive and dark, and that's not what the American people want right now. Listen, they voted for President Trump overwhelmingly. They clearly said they didn't like the last 4 years, that it has become much more dangerous here in the United States, that we've got criminals loose on our streets that are raping and murdering our children that she allowed to come over the border, and they want better economic policy. They want more money in their pockets. So she could have chosen to give a message that recognizes what happened yesterday when the American people overwhelmingly chose to send President Trump back to the White House. Instead, she went back to the same old talking points, didn't talk policies. Instead, she just went out there and tried to divide people again.
Governor, life and work and raising a family are hard. And Kamala Harris, attached at the hip to Joe Biden, they made that harder intentionally for all working families, all working Americans in pursuit of an ideological agenda that, again, benefited no one. And that at the end of the day, and then they lied about it. They at every turn, any hardship, any problem, they lied about it. And that at the end of the day, she could not escape that. The name calling, nothing. And that's kind of the central piece of what brought the voters home to President Trump and his promise of a better future.
No, I agree with you, Dagan. I think overwhelmingly what Harris did that failed during this campaign is she kept trying to put people in a box. She put women in a box and said you only care about one issue, when really women are concerned about their children, about their jobs, their careers, how much gas prices are. You know, there's so many topics that this country and the women who live here care about, and she refused to talk about them. And overwhelmingly, women and more women in this country voted for President Trump, more Hispanics voted for President Trump. We saw all different age groups, more of them come home to President Trump because he was talking about things that they cared about, that were challenges in their lives. He wanted to make America great again and do it by strengthening people and families. And that's what I think is so fun about this election cycle, is that this is the biggest win we've had in this country for a presidential candidate in decades. And President Trump did it while going out there and relating to the American people. We saw him doing things with people frying up French fries at McDonald's and driving garbage trucks and talking to folks that were the backbone of this country and saying he was going to protect their jobs and that he was going to make this country safer. That was so refreshing to see a candidate that really addressed the concerns that the American people had. And that was one thing that Kamala Harris refused to do.
And he did. He addressed the economy, he addressed inflation, and how he wanted to fix it. But I think something else was at play, which was not really on the radar as a top motivating issue for so many Americans. But it was this trans issue, right? So again, transitioning, just post-pubescent children, 14 years old, 13 years old, or even the boys playing in girls' sports. And I thought that was highlighted the best with one of Donald Trump's ads when he's talking about Kamala Harris is for him, her, Donald Trump is for you. I do think that worked because it just shows how out of touch not just Kamala, but the rest of the Democrats were with the values of, I think, the whole country, but you and I don't live that far apart from each other, but especially middle America.
Yeah, absolutely. President Trump clearly told Americans that he was never going to let mediocre men take away opportunities from our exceptional young women, that he was not going to just protect sports, but he was also going to protect opportunities for women and let them have a level playing field and be able to go out there and grab opportunities to make their lives better. A lot of us have daughters and granddaughters, and we want an America like that will lift them up. And Kamala Harris was determined to tear that down and erase those opportunities for our children far into the future. And that's what made her policy so radical and so scary. I had so many folks telling me in some of the bigger cities in this country as I traveled for President Trump saying, listen, maybe in 2020 we were, getting a little bit tired of all of the drama and conversation and the fighting and the division, but boy, she is so extreme that we cannot trust her with the White House, and we don't even know who she is. Not only did not a single person vote for her when she became the nominee for the Democratic Party, but then she refused to talk to the American people and do interviews. So we really never really could grasp who she was. What does she stand for? What does she want to do? That's what the American people rejected, was a typical hypocrite politician that they didn't want to put back in the White House.
It was historic. Governor Kristi Noem, always wonderful to see you. Thank you for being with us. We appreciate it.
You too.
Thank you, Governor. The Democrats